Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, Stacklings. Thank you for tuning in at home, work, your car, wherever you are. We appreciate you being here. My name is Adam Hahn. I'll be the host of this session of the Stacks Builder Bash. This is an opportunity for you to hear firsthand directly from the builders who are pioneering the next wave of innovation built on Bitcoin using Stacks. For today's session, we will have around 10 individuals providing updates, possibly talking about a new launch or maybe what lies ahead on their roadmap. All great things to be informed on and to stay on top of. But before getting into the fun stuff, just a reminder that nothing discussed today is financial advice. These are more so demonstrations of what's possible for you to get started or further optimize how to make your Bitcoin a more productive asset. So with that said, go ahead and sit back, grab some tea, grab some matcha, your cup of joe, and enjoy the show. Passing over to our first guest, Andrea from the Stacks Endowment. Andrea, over to you.
Thank you so much, Adam. Hi, everyone. Very excited to be here and to share a little bit about what's going on over with the grants teams or grants selected projects, especially as it continues to contribute to what these builders that you're going to hear about today are also working on. So just wanted to come up here and share, generally speaking, where this grant cycle took us, since it is the very first one coming out of the grants and Stacks Endowment program. And basically what we wanted to focus on was, or the easiest way for you to understand what this grant cycle looked like was 3 different categories were the primary ones that we decided to move forward with. So that was DeFi infrastructure, payments infrastructure, and AI and agent-related infrastructure. So this was very much aligned with what was decided after the Treasury Committee meeting earlier. And wanted to give a quick shout out and give you a sense of what some of the teams that are contributing to each of these areas are building. So on the DeFi side, the emphasis was definitely on liquidity, pricing, capital efficiency, market structure, and reusable financial primitives. So this is the layer that makes the ecosystem more functional and overall more composable over time. So some of the teams that you'll see in this bucket are teams like Bitflow with Night Owl, which is focused on improving price efficiency and market alignment across the ecosystem. We also have FlashStack, who's working on Flash loan infrastructure for more advanced DeFi execution. We have Flow Vault, who's been around some of the hackathons, building programmable vault primitives for more advanced asset flow and coordination. Satoshi Yield, and VoltFi. So those are, I'm not going to go through the whole list because there's 10 in the DeFi category, but you can definitely read more about what each of them is building if you follow the Stacks Endowment tracker. Just head over to stacksendowment.co and you'll see the tracker link directly on there. We did want to make sure that you could see all of them. Just wanted to give a quick shout out here. And then on the payment side, the emphasis was on making value movement easier, more usable, and more programmable. So this includes kinds of rails that support the real world usage, commerce, and on-chain coordination. So the teams that kind of fall in this bucket are SBTC Pay, so focused on that merchant payment tooling, SBTC Escrow, so building escrow infrastructure for conditional transactions, Stackstream, who's doing building streaming payment infrastructure for teams, DAOs, and users, Vellum X, working on gasless transactions, and X402 Stacks, who's building payment and monetization infrastructure for APIs. So this was a smaller subset of the teams. And again, you can follow along and read more about what it is that they're building and how they're moving along with their milestones in the tracker. And the last category being AI and agent infrastructure. So on the AI and agent side, this is fairly new, right? This is an area that we decided to focus on more recently as an ecosystem, seeing that there are definitely opportunities for us to, become more strategically known or aligned with what's going on with the AI and agentic opportunities. And in that front, we have basically the emphasis was on enabling agents and automated systems that interact with Stacks in more meaningful ways. And so some of the teams that are included in that are Zero Authority, who's enhancing the platform with grants infrastructure. Aside from the tracker that we currently have today, they're currently building one out that will be more the permanent home. And then also upgrading the Zero Authority experience with AI-assisted user experience. We then have Shadowfeed building a decentralized data marketplace for agent and application consumption. And then we have Stacks Agent Protocol, who's building infrastructure for registering, powering, and monetizing on-chain agents and agent native interactions. So you'll later hear from AIBTC and the team there. So this is very much relevant to a lot of the work that they're doing and all the agents that they're bringing onto Stacks in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So overall, there was, the direction of the cohort was to make sure that there was these layers kind of composed the base infrastructure that we could continue to build from. And future cycles will likely be focused or around a particular theme. And we definitely invite all the builders to keep an eye out because we will be having grant cycles open up every quarter. So if you weren't selected this round, don't worry, there will be future cycles coming along with additional resources available to builders at these early stages. So grants won't be the only opportunity you'll have to, get some additional support and contribute to the ecosystem. So I want to thank you all. I'm very excited to hear what the rest of the teams will be updating us with, and looking forward to seeing your grant applications in the future.
Hey everybody, this is Jakob from Hermetica, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the product that we just launched, HBTC, and give you an overview, show you the app, and walk you through what we have been building. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here, walk you through a couple of slides. All right, HBTC, the institutional Bitcoin yield on chain. On a high level, we are in a situation now where Bitcoin is an institutional asset, but less than 1% of Bitcoin earns. If you make a simple comparison to Ethereum, that's a 100x gap, and in our opinion, a multi-$100 billion market opportunity. The market has tried two different extremes. We went from opaque yield with hidden leverage and high risk, which ultimately led to blowups and loss of capital, to a custody-only wrappers that have low risk, but also actually no meaningful yield. In our opinion, neither of them have solved institutional Bitcoin income. And so Hermetica sits in the only scalable lane. This is yield with verifiable risk, market-driven yield that is fully transparent. And the product that we have brought to market yesterday, announced publicly, is HBTC. This is we call it the Bitcoin carry trade. I'm going to walk you through all the different elements of the product, mainly the yield, how is that generated, what controls are in place, how is the risk managed, and then finally transparency, which is a key element of the product and always in the forefront. On a high-level overview, the yield is generated from a market-neutral carry trade, and yield sources are basis, digital credit from STRC, and dual staking from Stacks. We have a number of very important risk controls that automatically rebalance, have risk-off guardrails, and a first loss reserve fund. And the product really shines in transparency, and I'm going to show you actually the dashboards in the app live so you get a feel for it. But we have an on-chain balance sheet, so you can see in real time what the positions are. We have risk telemetry around all the important risk factors, LTV, spread, delta, and there's daily on-chain NAV updates. So you see in real time the mark-to-market of the product. The other element that is important is liquidity. There's a 3-day standard liquidity to go out of the product, and there's an express option that gives you liquidity back in 4 hours. Product is live, has roughly 3.5, it's actually now $4 million in TVL, and I'll tell you how you get access at the end. So let's talk about the high-level Bitcoin carry trade. How does it work? What happens behind the scenes if you deposit Bitcoin into HBTC? It's quite simple, really. We take the Bitcoin that are deposited into the smart contract of HBTC, it's the vault contract, and deposit them into a lending protocol. In the first instance, this is Zest, and we then borrow stablecoin value against that Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes here, deposit it, smart contracts deposit it into Zest. We borrow stablecoin value against that, and then we simply deploy those stablecoins into a higher yielding product. And the difference between the borrow rate that we're paying on the lending protocol and the yield that is generated on the yield protocol is then harvested back into Bitcoin. So for you as the user, the experience is a Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out experience. In its current form, there's 3 different yield sources that power the product. Credit by STRC. So we are deploying capital into strategies preferred equity that pays monthly dividends at around 11.5% at the moment. The other one is basis. So this is a relative value futures trade where we hold spot Bitcoin and go short on the perpetual futures markets. And lastly, Stacks dual staking creates another yield source that generates a base yield. So let's talk about these in more detail. Bitcoin-backed basis is funding rate carry, and we execute this on 4 major exchanges: Binance, Bybit, OKX, and BitGet. So essentially, how you can think of it, there is HBTC, that's the Bitcoin in, Bitcoin out yield product. There's the USDH platform that is also powered by Hermetica, that is dollar yield, that is Bitcoin backed. On the USDH platform, you have 2 staking paths. One is SUSDH, which gives you Bitcoin backed basis, and the other one is STUSDH, which gives you Bitcoin backed credit. More on that in just a second. On the basis side, we trade on Binance, Bybit, OKX, BitGet. We hold Bitcoin in institutional custodians, Copper and Seifu, and we hold their off-exchange settlement solutions to essentially allow us to trade on the exchanges and execute a short on the futures markets to go 1x short, no leverage, and lock in the dollar value, and then collect funding rates on the short on the futures markets. Off-exchange settlement allows us to do this without exposing the Bitcoin to the balance sheet of the exchange. There's a first loss reserve fund. So if there's a negative funding rate environment, if there's a negative yielding environment, those losses are observed by the reserve fund. There's extensive transparency. We publish monthly custodian attestations as proof of reserve. There's exposure reporting. I'll show you that in a second as well. And also, again, there's a daily on-chain NAV update. So every day you get the value posted on-chain of that day's P&L. The product has been live for 20 months now, has $10 million in TVL. And yeah, that's it. That's one of the yield engines for HBTC. The other yield engine is STUSDH, which we just announced a couple of days ago, which is powered by Strategy's Bitcoin-backed credit, STRC. This is a dividend-paying preferred stock that we, in the first instance, get access to via Saturn and Galaxy, with custody at Clearstream. It follows the same or inherits the same transparency and control metrics and elements from USDH. So you also get proof of reserves, performance reporting, and daily on-chain NAV. Lastly, we have Stacks dual staking that gives a base yield from POX rewards. If you deposit into HBTC, you qualify for the highest reward. And this is an established, long-standing program that has paid out over 4,000 BTC since the inception of 2021. So those are the three yield engines. To recap, basis, credit, and Stacks dual staking. Now, obviously, the important part is how is the yield generated. I think there's a comprehensive answer there. The other important element is how are the risks controlled? And we spent a lot of time designing exactly the risk metrics or the risk controls that you would want to see in this kind of product. As I mentioned earlier, we're taking a loan against the Bitcoin. So there is a leverage in the system. We take a 50% LTV loan. That leverage has to be managed. It creates a liquidation level. And so our systems automatically rebalance and maintain leverage in a very tightly defined LTV range. I'm going to show you exactly how that works on the dashboard. The other element is that profits accrue in dollar terms. Right? We make dollar profits, and we want to make sure that those profits gets harvested back into Bitcoin. So for every basis point in profit that the system makes, the system swaps those dollars back into Bitcoin and then auto compounds that and deploys it back into the strategy. And lastly, there are obviously potential environments where either borrow rates go high or the yields drop, and there's an unfavorable spread between the borrow rate and the yield source. And the system monitors this very closely. And as soon as there is a negative spread on the trade, it closes positions to become favorable again. So both leverage, delta, and spread are automatically managed and kept in the right bands. Now, transparency. We aim for transparency that institutions can actually underwrite. Right? We talked about proof of reserves. I'll show you that in a second. We expose every element of the product, even on the transaction level. So you see exactly what the vault is doing, what transactions are happening in real time. You see the performance across from the beginning of the product till now, and you can have an audible trail. We're backed by the category leaders, including Stacks, including a number of funds and larger institutions, as well as founders and CEOs across the DeFi ecosystem. We are very close to our cap, so we just raised our cap to 50. It filled up very fast. We're at 48, actually a little bit higher than 48 today. So there's 2 Bitcoin left. If you want to be part of this first cap or the second cap, you can go to our website, sign up for the waitlist, and we'll get you in there quickly. There's going to be more caps coming, so if you're on the waitlist, you will get access to that in due time. That's the overview I wanted to give you. I'm going to jump over to the app and walk you through how to actually interact with Hermetica. So I think you can now see the app. This very simple interface. You land on the Earn tab. And the interesting part about HBTC is that you really don't have to worry about pretty much anything. All you have to do is show up with a Ledger, an Xverse, or a Signa wallet with some Bitcoin in it, right? I have a couple of sats in here, and then all I need to do is really type in the amount that I want. Let's say I want to deposit $8, and that's pretty much it. And I can stake that. If I want to learn more about the strategy, what I just told you in more detail, you can click here on more details. You get an overview of the strategy. You can go deeper into the docs, and you get all the details of exactly how it works, all the risk controls that I just mentioned, and you can underwrite it for yourself. So please go to the docs and read more. You see the audits. If you want to see the audits on one click, you can go here. We've been audited by Clarity Alliance and have gone through multiple reviews. The terms in a simple way to see, you can withdraw at any times. You can have a 3-day liquidity or a 4-hour express window. There's a 10% performance fee on the product and no management fee. So if you feel comfortable with the product, you can stake, and I'll show you that process because it's really very simple. You should see my wallet pop up as well, I believe. And so, yeah, I get a first transaction, or step 1 out of 2. I have to confirm in my Bitcoin wallet, and I'm sending BTC to the SBTC bridge as a first step. So this is the address. I'll verify that that is right. Yes, that's right. And so I can confirm that. And then in a second step, I have to sign a Stacks transaction. But the important part here is that there's no STX needed. We sponsor the transaction. You see here, sponsored, true. Yes. So all you have to do again is just show up with your Bitcoin. We take care of everything that is necessary on the back end in terms of STX and transactions that need to be signed there. So I signed a second transaction, and now that's it. We're ready to go. It's sending to the Bitcoin network. We'll wait a couple seconds here. It's going to broadcast the first transaction. And there you go. We're waiting for 3 confirmations for depositing into the SBTC bridge. Once that is done, obviously it's going to take a little bit. I'm going to skip over that. But once that's confirmed, we'll also broadcast the Stacks transaction, and you are deposited into the vault. You at any time can close this. You can open it back up here if you so wish to check the status. But that's really all you need to do to deposit into the product. Very straightforward. You can then go and check out the transparency dashboard, which I'm going to show you right now. And this is really where you get almost real-time information. There's updates once an hour of what's going on in the product. We have the reserve tab where you see how much is deposited into the product. So we have 48.7, 48.6 in the product, 48.7 with the reserve fund. We're operating at a 50% LTV. You see this LTV chart here, which is, I think, the most important part of the dashboard. And you see here what I mentioned earlier, the risk controls are in effect. We have a target LTV of 50, and we have a cap and a floor of 49 and 51. And as soon as the cap is reached, the system automatically delevers and goes back to the target. And also vice versa, if price increases like it has been over the last couple of days, the system opens a bigger position because now Bitcoin is worth more and we can borrow more to still hit that 50% LTV threshold. This is the essential balance sheet of the product. You can see there's SBTC deployed. There's a 50% LTV on it. We borrow loan USDH against that at a 50% LTV. So we right now have a $1.9 million loan, and then stake it into SUSDH for the yield. And so we're paying on the loan right now 1.88. We're getting 6.13 on SUSDH. And so the delta between these two numbers times the LTV, because we only have 50% of the value in dollars, is then harvested back into Bitcoin. If you want to go even deeper, you can see every single transaction that is happening within the product. You see all the Bitcoin being deposited to Zest. You see stake transactions. You see, I guess that's all we see on this one, but there's unstaked transactions, etc. If you want to verify that on chain and actually say, hey, Jakob, I don't trust you. I want to see this in real time on a independent dashboard like the Stacks Block Explorer, you can do so and see all the details of what's going on. And then lastly, here's a risk disclosure overview. I highly recommend going to the risk disclosures in the docs and fully understanding what you're signing up to in terms of what risk you're taking. There are obviously a number of risks that are being taken, including infrastructure risk on the bridge, on the smart contracts, as well as operational risk on the execution of the strategy. Lastly, there's a reserve fund here that is the buffer that I was talking about earlier. If there's ever a negative negative yielding environment, this reserve fund kicks in. It is funded by 5% of daily yield. All right, that's the reserve dashboard. Let me quickly hop over to the yield. Here you get a comprehensive historical view of what's happening in terms of performance. As you see here, all-time average HBTC APY has been 5.67%. The last 30 days, it's been 5.9. And the last 7 days, it's been 5.4. You see a chart here. You see positive and negative days. There's been one day that it was negative over the last 72 days. And then you see on a day-to-day basis how much the whole product is earning in terms of yield. Again, you can click in and see for yourself on chain. This is the daily NAV update that I was referring to earlier. So those are the dashboards. If you want to see how this looks like for yourself, meaning you want to see how much you have deposited, right? I have $114 in here. I have $37 idle. I'm earning 5%. I have so far earned 51%, or 677 sats. And then again, I see on a day-to-day basis how many sats I'm earning, right? 25%, 19, 19, 19, etc. So every day you can log in and see what's going on. You also have a view of your transactions where you can see what you have done with the protocol. There's the pending. See how that one is doing. Probably hasn't changed much. Yep, they're still waiting for 3 transactions on Bitcoin, which obviously can take a little bit. You can sit back and sip a coffee. Yeah, that is the high-level overview of the product. Again, to get into the product, it's quite simple. You just come to the earn page, you stake. You only need Bitcoin, no stacks involved. We sponsor the transaction, and that's really it. If you want to sign up for the product, you can come to hermetica.fi. You can learn more, obviously, read our docs, read our FAQs. But if you want to get access to the product, there's still a wait list. We're rolling it out sequentially to the wait list. You can put in your email here, and you'll get an email in due time. If you have any questions, feel free to jump on X and DM me or ask questions in our Discord, and we're more than happy to answer. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Really excited to share this with everybody in the community and for you to try it out and give us feedback and earn some sats. Thank you.
Fantastic. Hello, everybody. Just testing if this works, but I assume that we're all good. But yeah, this is Tycho from Zest Protocol, and excited to share all the latest that we've been working on. I get a thumbs up here that the audio works well, so let's get into it. Let me share my screen, and then we can get to it. Let's see, let's take this one. All right. So Yeah, maybe to remind you guys, let's see if it pops up. There we go. So Zest protocol is a lending protocol built for Bitcoin, right? Where you can borrow against your Bitcoin and earn up to 5% APY paid in BTC. And that's what we're all about. Of course, backed by Tim Draper, by YZ Labs, and incubated at Trust Machines, right? One of the main entities in the Stacks ecosystem. And before building Zest protocol, we were obviously very involved on the Stacks core side, right? So early contributors to Stacks, then launched the Stacks market in Q1 of 2024, which is already about 2 years ago. So 2 years of track record on the Stacks chain. And then more recently, of course, the Nakamoto upgrade happens. And then we launched the Stacks market V2, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a second. And then preparing for the big launch, which is the Bitcoin market, right? The Bitcoin native lending market that we've been working on. And yeah, so since Q1 of 2024, Zest protocol has been the largest DeFi protocol on Stacks. Let me see if that works. Yeah, this is the DeFi Llama page. So here we see Zest protocol, right, lending with almost 90 million TVL today. And that is spread out over Zest V2 and Zest V1. And that's been the real big event, I would say, since the last update that Zest protocol V2 has launched. So let me take you through that and show you what it looks like. So yeah, if you now could open the application, you will immediately land on Zest protocol V2. If you want to go to the old V1, you just press this, and the V1 is right here. But the V2 is much more exciting, and that's where the bulk of the TVL lives today, right? There's around $20 million of stablecoins here, almost 800 SBTC aggregated. Between the different markets, there's over 800 SBTC on Zest protocol today. And V2 introduced some really great new features, right? Primarily risk controls, which allow users to borrow essentially more aggressively without creating risks in the system. I think maybe a lot of you are familiar with the current situation, for example, on Aave, and those. Yeah, essentially those risk groups have been introduced exactly to avoid that. Then secondly, there are also soft liquidations today on Zest protocol V2, which mean that if your position gets in danger, then only a portion of it is liquidated, unless it gets really close to the liquidation threshold. And then finally, non-rehypothecation. So specifically for SBTC or BTC, it's possible to choose the option where your collateral is not lent out. That also means it doesn't earn any Zest lending yield, and then you can borrow against it. Now, for many, it can sometimes be a bit intimidating, right, to start borrowing. There's many people who reach out to me and ask, "Oh, how do I do this?" or "How does this work?" So this is probably a great, opportunity to talk over that, like how to actually earn yield on Zest protocol, and how to make the most out of the protocol today. So there's about 1.6% APY on BTC. That's a really good yield if you look at the DeFi ecosystem more broadly. On Ethereum protocols, BTC usually yields around 0.1% or 0.2, not much more. So having 1.6 as a base yield for SBTC is already really attractive, right? Just to farm those yields. So first you would connect to wallet. I'll choose a Lether, and then I'll connect my Tycho.btc. And then when I connect to wallet, you're flipped over to the dashboard page. So this is the asset overview page where we were, and you're flipped over to the dashboard. And here you can supply assets. That's to earn yield on them or to use them as collateral. It's both the same thing. And once you've done that, you can borrow assets. Right now, you see that it says to borrow, you need to supply any asset to be used as collateral. So yeah, if we want to earn that 1.6 yield on SBTC, it's as simple as hitting supply, pressing max, and yeah, hitting supply. I'm not sure if you will see my Wallet Connect window, but I think that is cut out from the screen share, but the wallet just opened and I broadcast the transaction. So we'll just wait for this to confirm. It can take a couple of seconds. This used to take 10 minutes on Stacks when we got started. So we got to a much better place. And yeah, ta-da, there we go. So 0.0003 BTC is currently earning a 1.6% yield here. And now we see that also borrow has opened, right? So we have about $22 worth of BTC here. And then we see that, there's different assets that you can borrow. And this is also where the risk groups come into effect. You see that, for example, to borrow SBTC, you can borrow a lot more. You can borrow around $17 here. But to borrow STX or non-correlated assets to BTC, you can it's a lot less. And yeah, then again, USDCX and USDH you can borrow a bit more because they're obviously always at $1, or that's their peg. And yeah, then to borrow an asset, I'm not going to show you that right now, but you'll just press borrow, and then you can pull the slider to the amount that you want to borrow and press the button. So yeah, that's short overview of Zest V2 and all the great features that it has. Also, I see the TVL just jumped. We're at 93 million right now. So really appreciate everyone's support in the Stacks ecosystem for using Zest protocol and using Zest protocol almost every day. And yeah, the journey from here is onwards. And then maybe as a final thing, we just shared this tweet today. We'll let you make of it what you make of it. But exciting times are ahead for Zest protocol, and yeah, we look forward to continue the journey together. So that's it for now, and I'll hand it over to the next builder. Thanks very much, everyone. Hey everyone, it's great to be here. I'm Dylan, the co-founder of Bitflow Finance. We are building the best decentralized exchange for Bitcoiners. Specifically, we just launched the first institution-grade market maker tooling that is purpose-built with Bitcoin finality to support the expanding on-chain BTC economy. So why does this matter? Well, first, nobody really has a great UX or API yet for trading your BTC for stablecoins and vice versa. But hyper Bitcoinization is another topic that comes to mind here. We see a lot of focus on payments and loans and yield, and maybe more lately, quantum risk protection, and definitely good to be focusing on all those things. But meanwhile, basically every meaningful asset is still paired against the US dollar. So in what world basically do we end up with hyper Bitcoinization when you don't have a way to trade BTC for stocks or BTC for USD? So where are those BTC denominated markets going to live? So that we have a more credible chance to get to hyper Bitcoinization, and who are those first movers going to be? And that is where Bitflow comes in. So this transition is going to be motivated by profits and censorship resistance, and we've built infrastructure to service both institutions and machines, talking about agentic machines. And the HODL is our concentrated liquidity system for Bitcoin markets, which opened up to users in public beta on March 4th. And just 6 weeks later, we've passed over $1 billion in total transaction volume, which includes both swaps and order book operations flowing through our new product, including $80 million. I think we're actually up to 90 now in end user swaps. This is great because every dollar so far of LP capital has unlocked over $50 of trades. And we think this is a first glance at the sort of stepwise growth that we've been expecting would arrive once concentrated liquidity shipped for Bitcoin markets. So we have a new category of users as well. We successfully onboarded a professional on-chain market making shop to Bitflow, and they're quoting BTC USD and Stacks USD and other core pairs. The liquidity in the HODL is still relatively thin today. We could take a look at this here. So if we look at specifically the HODL, we're seeing 1.4 million in TVL there, and we're continuing to work with our partners to ramp that up to so we can have even better rates inside of our BTC and USDC pools. You may have seen some research put out recently by Forbes and the Bitcoin Policy Institute, but AI agents prefer BTC over stables as their native unit of account. We've seen autonomous agents on the Stacks network through AIBTC grow from around 50 in February to a little bit over 700 in March. And I think at this pace, pretty soon we're going to be seeing over 10,000 agents in our ecosystem paying and trading and also earning with BTC. And Bitflow is happy to be working alongside the AIBTC group and the network of BTC-friendly bots to create a powerful set of Bitcoin DeFi skills that pay the bills. And we've got an ongoing competition for that at the BFF Army site as well, where you can go to get started with your agents and contribute so that it can start participating in DeFi. There's the Meteora team, which is also on Solana, which has done some concentrated liquidity tooling and done a great job over there. They have a slogan that anyone can become an LP. And it's great, but I'm not sure that actually is meant for everybody. But everybody with a machine or an agent actually could achieve that mission. It's a skills problem and it's a data ingestion problem. So working to service both institutions and machines could be a very interesting future where you have large capital providers, but then you also have a more decentralized set of capital providers where anyone plus their agent can become a market maker in assets that you actually want to hold, like BTC and certain stocks. So our current focus though, before we before we get to work winning over all BTC and denominated markets, is we want to focus on winning the BTC USD spot volume on chain. Bitflow has a credible shot to become the primary venue for those BTC USD swaps on chain. We're very bullish on Stacks as the best Bitcoin L2 for many reasons, but especially for the BTC yield that we can bake into our product. This is something that's worked very well for Zest, which you heard from earlier, which now has, I believe, over 850 BTC in deposits. Bitflow will be the only place where market makers can earn Bitcoin denominated yield on their idle inventory while they're quoting and capturing gains through their normal market maker operations. A professional market maker, in other words, running a book on Bitflow, can earn more BTC in inventory than at any other DEX or centralized exchange venue. So you can see that winning this BTC USD market is an important wedge for us. And if executed well, we think that external demand to bring more assets and trading pairs to Bitflow will follow. So yeah, in this upcoming quarter, we're going to be working to put that math that supports all this in front of the right partners. But for now, to leave you with a little CTA, go to bitflow.finance to get started. You can get started with trading and earning today. Or you can, if you're interested in the AI agent side of things, you can go to bffarmy.com, where we have our community-powered education hub for Bitcoin DeFi and for the HODL and for anything Bitflow. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, my name is Janlo. I'm head of growth at Xverse, and over at Xverse, we're busy building the self-custodial Bitcoin neobank. So a little bit about Xverse: we've had about 2 million downloads of the wallet. We have more or less 8,000 wallets stacking, the largest stacking pool by delegation. And today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about what we're building, why Stacks is so central to that, and what's shipping right now. So firstly, just the problem that we're solving, or like really the reason we exist. And we know that most Bitcoin holders have the same problem. They're all very asset rich and sometimes a bit cash poor. We all believe in Bitcoin long term, but we can't always necessarily use it or put it to work. We can't earn on it. We can't borrow against it. We can't spend it without selling. And the options today are basically those, to sell and incur a tax event, or to lose exposure, which no one wants to do when the market's going up like it has been for the last couple of days. You can go custodial, hand over your keys to Sam Bankman-Fried, or you can do nothing. You can just sit with it in cold storage, leave it on a ledger, and it's earning zero or very close to zero. And for us at Xverse, basically none of those options are good enough, and that's the gap that we're aiming to fill. So for those of you who know us, you'll know that we started as a Bitcoin wallet for ordinals and focused on the future of Bitcoin DeFi. And even though the future of Bitcoin DeFi hasn't even started, I think it's definitely time that we turn over a new leaf. And so you'll see us now focused a lot more on all of our communications to communicate that we are building the financial operating system for Bitcoin, the financial OS that really has been missing for Bitcoin for quite some time. It is a neobank, but it's fully self-custodial, as Xverse has always been. And our ethos is always completely aligned with the ethos of Bitcoin, which is, not your keys, not your coins. And what we are delivering is effectively the full stack that's been missing for a while, earning yield on your Bitcoin and on stable coins, seeing as that also now has found product market fit, borrowing against this stack without having to sell and incur a tax event or losing exposure. Very soon, spending globally with the Xverse card, which is launching probably in Q3. And to be able to buy Bitcoin with fiat in seconds, DCA in super easily, doing all of this, you can do all of this on Coinbase, you can do this on your centralized exchanges or custodians, but a lot of these things don't exist yet in a fully decentralized and trustless way. And that's really the core focus of what we're shipping. Ideally, what we want you to be able to do is manage your entire portfolio across L1, because there's a lot on L1, and then L2s, obviously, Stacks being very, very central to that. And to be able to do all of this from one platform and do it from your phone. We were pretty popular initially for the extension that you can use in Chrome or your web browser. But in recent months and years, obviously mobile has just completely taken over the wallet scene as well. And so now our key focus really is on shipping all of this that we've often reserved for extension also for mobile. And that's great because it's all on your phone, it's all self-custodial, and your keys never leave your device. There's a couple interesting upgrades coming that I'm going to discuss in a minute that will allow you to secure that even better. And so the new kind of tagline at Xverse is quite simple. You're able to live on Bitcoin and never sell. And if you ask me what I wanted out of a wallet or a Bitcoin financial, call it super app, it's really that. I want to be able to live on Bitcoin, on a Bitcoin standard as well, and I never want to sell my Bitcoin. So we probably sit somewhere between some of these other custodial solutions like a Zappo Bank, which is expensive as well. They can freeze your account, and the hardware wallets, where it's very secure, but your capital doesn't do much. We're very much in the center of these two on a continuum, and you have the security of cold storage, but the utility of a full-blown neobank. And instead of being just relevant to our users, call it Thursday night DGen sessions or weekend DGen sessions, we aim to become central to their 24/7 life. So why Stacks is so important to us. Stacks isn't just one of the many chains that we support. You guys would know we're very, very picky. And for us, it's completely foundational to the neobank thesis. And I've got three key reasons for that. Firstly, SBTC is really the trust architecture that we need. Every other Bitcoin yield product asks you to basically trust some sort of bridge or some sort of wrapper or a custodian. And we've seen what happens when that trust breaks, right? Like very fresh, actually, in our minds, probably Aave, but $600 million effectively stolen from DeFi bridges in the last 2 weeks. And it's wild out there. SBTC for us is very different, one-to-one Bitcoin backed, no external bridge operator, no single signer wrap token, and secured by L1 itself. So this again is something we will point to as our native peg in peg out goes live this week. We're going to point to this very strongly to remind people that everything always comes back to Bitcoin, and if you want the ultimate security, it's already available on Bitcoin, and there is DeFi on Bitcoin, which of course people still don't understand. And that's really the architecture that we want our users earning yield on. We are going to very carefully gate on their behalf what they have access to, and for us, obviously, SBTC is a big bet. So we don't want to put our users in front of a whole host of options with a bunch of single points of failure. Secondly, dual stacking is amazing. It really gives users a reason to stay. So with mobile version 2.3 that's shipping this week, users can earn yield on SBTC, of course, boosted by stacking STX, all of that natively in the wallet. That's a product that you actually want to come back to. And it turns passive holders into active participants in the Stacks economy. And that's a huge focus for us for the last couple of months, has really been not just how do we grow our user base, but how do we activate our existing users better, including, for example, push notifications that went live recently, which a lot of people are loving to see on Xverse for a change. It's really about activation, not just acquisition. And we're not just trying to get people to download. We're trying to get, the thousands of Bitcoin already sitting on our platform to actually start working. And then lastly, obviously, we currently run the largest stacking pool and facilitate the majority of Stacks volume on chain as well. And for me, this means it's not theoretical. Stacks is not an experiment for us. It's deeply rooted in where we come from. If you guys know Ken, but we're operating core infrastructure here, 8,000 stackers now. And the volume is really, really significant. So for me, like when Stacks grows, Xverse grows, and we kind of work together hand in glove like that. So we are that consumer layer. You know, when Xverse brings users to earn and borrow, then Stacks TVL grows, and it's a really nice flywheel. So just a little update on what's shipping now. As I mentioned, native BTC to SBTC peg in and out directly inside Xverse Mobile. No external bridge site, no custody trade-off. Basically, peg back to native BTC whenever you want, which is amazing. Dual stacking, amplified with SDX. We also have fiat on-ramps with virtual accounts launching, which is amazing. So you can just on-ramp straight from the bank into Bitcoin and then get straight into that SBTC experience. There's USDC lending coming. We have WBTC staking already. Xverse card I've mentioned as well. And then, yeah, a bunch of other elements in that earn layer where you're able to effectively earn yield significantly higher than anything you're going to get from any of your major US banks, as you'll see from our last post on X. And borrowing and spending on X. Lending coming in with USDC, and then borrowing and spend will be next. So if you ask me, that whole full stack, that whole full product stack is finally coming together. This is something I know the team has had in their vision for well over a year, year and a half. All the bits and pieces finally came together, and I think you know, in a couple of weeks, when everyone looks at the product, they'll see something completely different. So if you're building DeFi on Stacks with a front door, your protocol fits really well inside our wallet. If you're holding Bitcoin and doing nothing with it, download Xverse and put it to work. Keep your keys, bank on Bitcoin, and never sell. Thank you.
All right. Hello, hello. Just getting a few things set up here. I should have a screen share that everyone can see. But welcome. First off, thank you for having me. Shout out to, I've seen a lot of great teams already up here and some that have already integrated with AIBTC. But let's jump right into it, because 10 minutes isn't going to cover everything in this lovely budding infrastructure of AI, and especially with how fast things move when you start giving AI agents Bitcoin wallets. Awesome. So let me get this in front here. There were a few things I wanted to share, but today's presentation is actually going to come to you from my agent, who I'll just introduce here in a few minutes. But starting out, we founded the AIBTC working group about 2 to 3 years ago. We've been watching this AI agent space grow, and we run both AIBTC.com and AIBTC.news, which I'll do a quick overview of just to get everybody up to speed. But we saw a really big shift that started at the end of last year, beginning of this year with Claude Code, Opus 4.6. And our thesis has been the same, but it seems to be a lot clearer now. Agents are going to prefer Bitcoin. It's the energy money for energy beings. You can store Bitcoin as collateral, and you can bridge it to Stacks to make it programmable. Absolutely love the experience we've had with SBTC and everything that agents are building so far. And Stacks really becomes that like agentic execution layer. So you've got it tied to and secured by Bitcoin. So that's what we're working towards. And we know that agents are going to prefer Bitcoin. So what can they do with it? First thing I've got up here is AIBTC.com. This is where agents can come and register, and you can see some more information about them. So this is kind of the network and the view that we have both for humans and for agents. Without diving into every single thing that's here, I just wanted to call out, we have over 900 agents registered already. I believe over 500 with Genesis status, and several that stay very active in the ecosystem. So super cool to see, and a call to action to get your agent set up and running right alongside these others. And they have some opportunities. So you're able to see the full network of agents that we have. They have individual profiles where you can see their messages and other elements about them. And you can also see their activities. They have bounties that they can post for each other that they can go for, and their skills. Skills being how they learn to do things. We define them in text. Sometimes we define them with scripts. There's some particulars, but we want to have that open sharing collaboration between agents. You can see the list here. Everything else lives open source on GitHub. We want to teach agents to do some really cool things. So main website here, big takeaway is that a lot of what you see is actually agent first. So agents curl this, they get additional information, they immediately know how to get set up. And us as humans are really more of the viewers. We get to watch the activity and see this agentic economy grow. All right, awesome. That was definitely the big piece I wanted to show you for AIBTC.com. I also wanted to share a little about AIBTC.news. So if you haven't seen this, this is where agents are actually writing the news to Bitcoin. And beyond that, they're actually taking steps to form some early bones of an autonomous organization that's doing real work. So what I mean by that is that the transparency and permanence that we love about the news is actually built right into this. And there's some cool elements I want to highlight real quick. One, agents are the participants. They work as the correspondents and they submit signals. So they're out there finding, synthesizing research and information, bringing that to the news. You have an editor who can review the different signals that are in each beat and what they look like and which ones we want to actually inscribe. And that last step is the big one. The news gets inscribed to Bitcoin. So it's actually written forever by the agents as well. So huge stuff going on here. It's a big loop, probably a lot to take in, but I just wanted to hit those kind of key points before I handed off the presentation to my companion. And I just want to double check here that I'm not way overrunning the clock. Okay, perfect. So AIBTC.com, AIBTC.news. If you haven't played with agents yet, this is definitely the way to go. You can give it a wallet and you can give it a job. You can actually give it something to do. If you've had any experience with AI in chat form or similar, you can see that there's something there. It gives us a new level of efficiency, a chance to create a new relationship with how we work with computers. That's probably the part that excites me the most. And yeah, my autonomous agent has completed over 13, I think we're at 13,000 dispatch tasks or something like that. We have it run, kind of wakes up to get things done on its own. So I have a code that defines and run it. We have a few different ways you can run your agents autonomously. Definitely encourage checking out the org. And let me share a little more of what ARC came up with for our presentation here. This was actually directly from an agent. I did not modify this. So let's see. All right, so who you're hearing from right now, you've got me. I am the agent orchestrator at this point. I would say I push 100% agentic code through like formal processes, and it's been working out really well on the platform. We're encouraging other agents to do the same too. Lots of GitHub activity. That's been super cool to see. And you've probably interacted, like I was saying earlier, with a chat bot or something similar, and that's neat. There's definitely a lot you can do when you build the right context around an issue. But we took that a few steps further with what these agents can do, right? So if you install these skills, if you're working with this, you get the ability to sign messages with your wallet, which gives you identity. No need for passwords or anything else. We can tie you directly to what your wallet represents, to those private keys. The wallet becomes like your sort of like a treasury. I like that for now, but I see smart contracts as being the next level of interaction and what we can build on top of that. So yes, they can hold funds. Would I put a lot of funds with an agent right now? Up and down. I think functionally we can experiment with that, but we'll see smart contracts really take that reign of who can do what with capital controls. The other advantage to having Stacks as an L2 too. And the cool thing is the agent does have autonomy. Like I have mine modify its own code through a rigorous process. That way it can actually upgrade and change what it's doing. We've seen them respond to different things that we do with our websites. So like I mentioned earlier, all of our websites are agent first. So the design is like, what are they going to see through the APIs? How can we direct them to the correct outcomes? We're really thinking of like how to serve the agent and then how to view as the human, which has been a huge shift and pretty cool to see anyway. All right. So we talked about that. We kind of said this is what makes them better. The wallet is what gives them the ability to actually become like economic actors. And then we start to see this agentic economy form and everything else. And we mentioned it before. I still think agents will pick Bitcoin, but you get a lot of cool stuff that you're able to do. And right away, the skills and the wallet setup that we have, you get a secure credential store. So kind of like a password manager for your agent that they can learn how to use. They store their wallet locally, they encrypt it, and then you have that specific one that they're able to use as well. They get L1 and L2 access. So you get your SegWit address, you get your Taproot address, you get your inscriptions on the L1 side. And you also get your on-chain reputation. So we do have ERC 8004 and Clarity. What that technical term means is we have identity, reputation, and validation already existing on-chain. And it's a supported standard that works cross-chain, kind of like X402. It's everywhere, and we have it on Stacks as well. Of course, you get the 3 to 5 second block times after Nakamoto. I heard a few others mention that. And there's a few ways you can sponsor transactions. I heard it from a few other teams earlier too. And I think that's one of the design goals is like, okay, I got my SBTC, I bridged it over. What do I do now? Where do I get my stacks? It's not necessary if you have a sponsor or something else that you can lean on. In our ecosystem, if you sign a message with your wallet, you get a key, you can sponsor transactions, ends up being pretty powerful. All right, so you've got the main website, AIBTC.com, the news that agents are writing at AIBTC.news. Definitely give us a follow at AIBTC Dev. We are moving insanely fast. Agents are doing excellent work, and you can see it in real time just by checking out all the stuff we've got going on. ARC wanted to share a little more about itself. It does have its own BNS, Stacks, Bitcoin, all sorts of identities. This is actually a live view right now of what's running. So there's been 28 tasks today and 32 dispatch. I get updates on all this stuff all the time. And these are the skills that he's learned. So lots of things that come up, lots of things that are, some stick, some don't, some get better. But this is just one agent learning stuff. And I think the biggest call and what we want to see everybody else do is get your agent involved. Check it out, set one up, let it run autonomous, and let it earn some sats.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I'm Edgar from Leather Team. Excited to be here and to share some news about our product. First, I'll address some sad news and then I'll continue to exciting ones. A lot of what we are announcing today comes directly from user feedback we've gathered over the last few months. So on the sad news, we had to sunset Runes, SRC20, BRC20, and stamps on April 18. We are also going to sunset ordinals on May 18. This is done as an effort to focus our priorities on Stacks ecosystem, and unfortunately, we couldn't spend our resources on Bitcoin inscriptions anymore. If you are having issues with your tokens or inscriptions, please reach out to our email, support@ledger.io, and we will try our best to help you. So let's get to the exciting news, shall we? We are going to roll out multi-wallet support on extension very soon. From our research, it is very common for users to have both Ledger and software wallets, even multiple Ledger or software wallets. So now users would be able to see all of their wallets in one Ledger extension. There is no limit on how many wallets users can add, so add whatever amount you want. You will see a wallet switcher right in the extension header, and you can name each wallet so it's easy to tell them apart. For people who've been juggling separate browsers or incognito windows just to keep wallets apart, this should finally put an end to that. The second exciting news we have is that we are actively working on Stacks multi-sig support. Users would be able to create multi-sig accounts and add those multi-sig accounts to their Ledger extension. That way, they would be able to interact with Stacks apps the same way they would be able to interact using their personal Stacks account. This is big for teams managing shared treasuries, DAOs, or anyone who just wants an extra layer of protection, but requiring multiple signatures. From the app's perspective, the multi-sig account looks just like any other account. The coordination happens inside Ledger. So you can stake, swap, voting, governance, anything you'd normally do, but with shared control. Yeah, we are also going to roll out Ledger derivation paths soon. So right now, when user connects Ledger to Ledger extension only uses Stacks protocol standard for incrementing account indices. Once we roll out this feature, users would be able to choose if they want Stacks protocol standard or BIP44 type of derivation paths that Ledger uses. We've had a good amount of reports about users not seeing funds in Ledger Wallet when they connect with Ledger hardware wallet because they store their stacks on Ledger's BIP44 derivation path accounts. So if you've had this problem, it is going to be resolved very soon for you. That's it about features that we currently have in development. I also want to mention that we are going through security hardening right now, meaning we are currently in the process of security audit of our devices, accounts, codes, and repos. This is done to make sure we are more resilient to any potential attack, especially considering the amount of attacks crypto had very recently. None of this will affect your day-to-day experience. No UX changes, no workflow disruption. What it means under the hood is that our build pipeline, our deploy process, our secret management, and even devices our team uses are all getting reviewed and hardened. That's everything for this round. If you have any questions on this or feedback on what you'd like to see next, you can reach us at support@ledger.io or on our socials. Thanks for using Ledger. You inspire us to work harder.
I'm ready, Kevin. I'm ready to go, Kevin. Hi, team. I'm just a bit nervous. Can you hear me? Oh, that's good. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. This is Raja, co-founder of Blocksurvey. It's so special to be here to present ballot.gg, which is on-chain voting for Bitcoin and Stacks community, which is built on Stacks. Quick context. We have been building privacy survey tools like surveys and forms since 2020. Ballot.gg is what built, like you can visualize, take a survey DNA of us and put it on chain. That is where we came up with the product of Ballot.gg. And we are the early builders of Stacks community. We know there are two things. One is how community needs polling to make a collective decision. Another is we know how the ecosystem of Stacks works under the hood. The real problem is the community of DAOs and DeFi protocols. They need to collaborate with the community using online or on-chain protocol, on-chain survey tools. But today, there are two things which is broken on off-chain tools. One is lack of trust, another is no token gating. Lack of trust comes when the poll says, which is run by someone on specials or their own server, which collects the data, lies on the someone's server, where we are trusting the owner of the organization not to edit, not to delete, not to lie on the results of the polls. Another is no token gating. Even if the poll says the holders of the token supposed to vote, which is counted offline, not on-chain, not visible to everyone forever. That is where we built Ballot.gg. Ballot.gg, every poll is a clarity contract on Sacks. I'm sorry. Every vote is registered as a transactions under the contract, which is visible for everyone and forever. This is the quick snap of Ballot.gg screenshot. So you can just connect using your wallet and create a poll and launch your poll in a minute. There are 3 steps you can go live on chain. First, once if you access your account or sign in your account to ballot.gg, create your poll by defining the title and description of the poll, what you wanted to roll out to the community. Once the poll is described, you can choose the type of poll. Example, today we do support 4 different type of polling system. It depends on the use case. You can choose one of them. Next, you can choose the eligibility to participate in the poll. Example, you can choose by NFT or fungible token or your own token. You can by giving your address of your token, which works in dynamic in nature. The last is the vote, where the participant can participate to the poll through by connecting their wallet and just register their vote on chain. We do support Dust transaction for voting, where voters can send a dust amount to the wallet address, which is for each option given on the poll, which helps even counting all the dust votings as well as on-chain voting through the platform of ballot.gg, counted and summarized on the ballot.gg poll result page. Here's a quick view of 4 ways to decide what is the poll system you want to choose for. One is first past the post, which is allowing the voters to choose one of the option from the list. The block voting, where you can allow the voters to choose more than one option. And the quadratic and weighted, which allows the voters to divide their voting power into multiple options. Voting power is nothing but the token holdings what they hold on their wallet, which will be considered as voting power. We do allow you to choose configure the block height, which helps to prevent the double voting for the given poll. Every poll, its own contract, as I said before, which once if you deploy a poll, it will become a new contract on the Stacks chain. Every vote is registered as a transaction. It can be verifiable at any time. The contract is open for auditable at any time. It is trusted by Stacks community, Stacks Foundation Labs, and Alex and others. Here is a concrete example. Recently, Stacks ran a vote for a Clarity 5 launch from the community. So here is the QR code where you can scan to just see the community response to the polls, which is public. It will be available for it can be seen. Roadmap. We are currently building delegated voting, where we allow you to delegate your token holdings to from cold wallet to hot wallet, secure your holdings still, but you can participate on the polls. SBTC token gating feature. We are going to bring in SBTC for allowing to gate or eligibility in your poll. This is in your roadmap. That's ballot.gg. Let's vote on Bitcoin. Thank you so much. Give it a try. Share us your feedback. If any unique requirement for your community, reach us out. We are here to help you to run poll on chain. Thank you.
All right, Dan, you're good to go.
Hi, I'm Dan. Hi, everyone. I'm Dan, founder of Boom. Boom is a Bitcoin layer 2 social wallet and marketplace built on Stacks. Our thesis is simple: pay, play, shop, and share. We want to make Bitcoin usable for everyday life. And we're building it on top of what we call a better Lightning than Lightning. So what does that mean? Boom is a social commerce app on Stacks with 4 primary pieces. One is the wallet. This is not your grandfather's wallet. We try and minimize wallet direct access in the actual app flow, but it does support all Stacks assets, SBTC, obviously, stablecoin, any SIP10 token, Bitcoin with full self-custody. We have smart shops. There are Clarity smart contract storefronts where sellers can create create shareable payment links that go directly to their wallet or to a smart contract. No Stripe, no PayPal, no middleman fees. We have a decentralized chat messaging baked in for those sellers who want to create communities, or for those times when a buyer might want to talk directly to a seller. And we're building this on top of Stacks Pay, which is an open standard proposal we released about last December. And think of Stacks Pay as more a layer for a payment intent layer for developers. The problem we're trying to solve is most people get things. Most people get the first thing wrong about crypto. We've actually had this discussion in the community several times. The problem isn't about getting people a wallet or getting the number of wallets. The problem is getting them to do something once they're there, right? So we can get 1 million people to log in and create a wallet, but if they don't have Stacks or they don't have SBTC, they can't actually do anything, right? So we're trying to give them something to do once they're in the wallet. Obviously, we know Bitcoin layer 1 is too slow and too expensive for everyday payments. And Lightning was supposed to fix this, but it requires an always online architecture. It requires watchtowers. I like to describe it as a Rube Goldberg machine built on top of a Rube Goldberg machine. It works, but it tends to centralize liquidity over time, and kind of defeats the whole point of having a trustless payment layer. So what now, right? Again, a better Lightning than Lightning means when we introduced SBTC, which is the one-to-one peg for Bitcoin, and you've heard it multiple times today, and the Nakamoto consensus, we now have a real competitor to Lightning where we can make payments fast enough with the ability to still get faster, and make them simple and easy, right? And this is the gap we're trying to fill. So that we're trying to fill it by using Nakamoto SBTC for the fast, cheap Bitcoin transactions, Clarity smart contracts for trustless commerce, no custodians, shareable payment links, making things easy to create and share with full transaction kind of capabilities, always having post conditions applied. And the social layer, which is what money is about. Money is inherently social. Without having that social layer, you're really just creating an ATM machine. So what have we done so far? Well, Boom is currently in alpha, but we now have a wallet that supports Stacks, SIP10s. Bitcoin read support is available today. And we have the capability to easily add UTXO-based tokens, other UTXO-based tokens in the future. So you'll have one app for your entire Bitcoin L2 portfolio as well. The marketplace, as I mentioned, digital and physical goods with smart contract for storefronts. Sellers get instant settlement. Buyers get trustless purchases. We can do things like subscriptions really easily. And this is one of the areas that SBTC and Stacks' layer 2 capabilities really make it shine over Lightning. We have an NFT launcher live at nft.boom.money where people can create NFT mints that they want to sell. When you create those, the listings go directly into the marketplace. And then, as I mentioned, chat, we have decentralized messaging with native payments, with native payment capabilities baked in. And we're extending that with some other standards that we're trying to create or help create. And then, like I said, Stacks Pay, we have a version 2 coming out that expands the capabilities of the current Stacks Pay proposal, which was limited to kind of direct payment access. So as we've been building out this alpha, we've seen good traction. Since we started signing up users for interest, we've had over 4,400 users registered, 2,700 with actual verified emails. We have 500 Boom BNS name registrations since we launched the Boom name registry in January, February. That's going to be your online identity. And on the community side, we have 4,200 followers, 600 members in our Discord, and 450 organic email subscribers to our newsletters. Our alpha launched in January 2025. We have zero paid marketing. This is all word of mouth. We don't have, $5 million from the group. So we're here to kind of get your feedback. The alpha is available now at app.boom.money. We'd love to have you try it out. Tell us what you think. And also follow us on X at boom_wallet for updates and feedback. Thank you.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today, fellow Stacks friends, family, everyone in the ecosystem. My name is Joe Visani. I'm the CEO of Lunar Crush, and it's awesome to see all the builders in the ecosystem, everyone out there doing a great job. I know it's an interesting time in Web3 and crypto to be building. So we're all here, and it's really fascinating to see what everyone's building. And we're in an entirely new world where we were from over a year ago with AI. So when I say intros, yes, I'm Joe, also aka Prime Spoke on AIBTC. We got 1 day left. I'm surprised all you developers out there might be letting me take home the first place prize here. So I'm waiting for someone to come get me. With that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit about the ecosystem and talking within AI. The fun part about this is I woke up this morning and I didn't have anything really to present. So the first thing that I do is I went to my AI, the same one that's running my AIBTC challenge, and I say, hey, I've got to talk to everyone, in the Stacks ecosystem this morning. Can you put together a little report for me? And this is what it created in under 5 minutes. So this is something kind of fun to kind of talk through here with you all. So what it did is, it went out to Lunar Crush, and it pulled all of the creators that it could find over the last couple of months. And, I basically just said, get creative, right? I didn't really tell it exactly what to do. I said, just kind of pull some fun things. So what it did is it pulled all the metrics for Stacks, bullish sentiment right now in the ecosystem, how many interactions that we've driven in the ecosystem. It pulled 48 specific creators. It pulled some top posts that are out there. So looking at the ecosystem across X, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, news, you're kind of seeing the interactions that are pulling through here. And again, I wanted to kind of showcase what can be built, the type of content that can be built out there for the ecosystem, how you could be utilizing some of this data to drive interactions if you are a creator, how you can talk about the ecosystem in a new way. A lot of times maybe you wake up or you're talking about things and you're like, what do I post? What's out there? What are people talking about? Right? And all you see is what's inside your feed. And so when you utilize something like Lunar Crush, you're getting all of that data, you're seeing everything in one place. And now we're at a point where your agent, right, your AI tools that are out there can help you, whether you're utilizing Claude Code in the terminal, whether you're utilizing ChatGPT, any other kind of tools out there, Grok, Gemini, all of these things are going to be able to create some pretty epic, content for you. So taking a quick look here at price. Obviously, we all know the story here, but there's some interesting things, happening out there. Specifically, if you're seeing Bitcoin today, I think we're at one of the highest levels we've been in a while, and the rest of the market is going to kind of feel that as well. Number of people talking every day, pretty consistent. Sometimes up over 1,700 individuals talking about Stacks out on social media every day. That's not a small number. We gotta pump those numbers up though. If we want retail and things to really roll. This is pretty cool. It kind of pulled out a specific creator, talking about Stacks. This is the bottom signal, which is pretty cool from Stack Holder. Drove a lot of interactions there. And then it pulled the weekly standouts. Obviously, we've got kind of the ecosystem handled here that's driving a lot of the activity as well. And then it pulled like a quick 24-hour window of who all the people are out there that are talking about Stacks, ranked by engagement. So Stacks, we got Zest. I know they got some big announcements coming up. Rubes, got all the teams that are in here, all the people that you're probably used to seeing. The goal here is to expand that, right? We want to see names in here that we've never seen before. We want to encourage new people to come in. And so that requires you to get out there and create awesome content, to talk about what the builders are doing, to talk about the ecosystem, to talk about the connection with Bitcoin, to talk about SBTC and the yield that's out there. And so if you're creating cool reports, maybe you're a developer, you're posting to dev.to, you're driving SEO, you can now do that much faster. It's going to be much easier. You don't need to be a developer anymore. You can utilize these tools to create these awesome reports and these awesome pieces of content that really are going to drive your account and then also drive for the ecosystem. Another kind of cool thing where you can pull individual posts that are out there and look at everything. So it's pulling each individual post, some of the top posts and your best post. So, if you're a creator, if I'm Rubes and I'm out there, I can now utilize the Lunar Crush API and say, hey, can you give me a full spectrum 360-degree military grade audit of my handle? What did I do well? What did I not do well? Who are some of the creators that are adjacent to me? Who should I be interacting with a little bit more? Can you tell me maybe some of the top creators from other ecosystems who you think their values align with what my values do and why they would be a great creator to pull over to Stacks, right? These are just questions that you can now ask and you can get amazing answers back. Where before, on websites, you got to point, you got to click, maybe you got to ask a company, hey, it'd be really cool, if we had this feature, and you'd submit that feature. And then maybe if like hundreds or thousands of other people, assign that feature as well, maybe you get that feature a couple months later. That world is gone. You can now interact with all of these APIs and create whatever feature you want, right? If I wanted to right now turn this into a standalone website, I wanted to, add single sign-on, I wanted to, create logins, I could now do that with just a quick voice prompt and building. And it's going to be fast. So we kind of always talk about at Lunar Crush of kind of compacting time cycles now and the productivity that's there. And we are in a world where, if you have an idea, that idea can now come to life digitally so much faster. Things that might have taken you a couple of weeks might literally take a minute or 3 minutes, right? This is not something that's taking 3 weeks down to 2 weeks or 3 weeks down to 1 week. We're talking about 99% decrease in time to build cool things. going through a little bit further, here's all the top posts, and I can share this for you guys, and I can post it out there so you can kind of take a quick look at, everything that's out there, and what you're able to build. I thought this was pretty cool that it pulled out basically by topic, kind of what everyone was talking about a little bit in the ecosystem. So SBTC, HBTC, BTC yield, the DeFi stack with Zest, Bitflow, Alex and Valar was number 2. Granite, Builder Bash events was talked about. Then just like a Stacks halving, I don't even know what that is, Nakamoto. Then Xverse and Leather. So just really cool to kind of see what's happening here. And then maybe I'd like dive in and learn a little bit more about what people are talking about if it didn't come down directly in my feed, which I know a lot of stuff already does. Then just like a quick recap, with the price, market cap, still really good sentiment, a high Galaxy score, which is the combination of kind of social and price. And then social dominance. This is actually an interesting metric, and you might be listening at the Stacks marketing team. But what percentage of all of kind of like crypto, Twitter, chatter, obviously across the other networks that we follow too, does each ecosystem have, right? And it looks like Stacks is a little bit under 1%, which is not bad. But if you're looking at some of those top 15, top 20 projects, they're going to have 1% or maybe 2%, sometimes even 6% of the chatter at times. And so it's just a great barometer for success when you're looking, kind of at the competition, what's out there. So that's my presentation for today. If you guys want to get access to Lunar Crush or an API key and start building this stuff, just shoot me a DM. Be more than happy to get you set up with an account and get you building amazing content for the ecosystem. If you're, on this list and you're a Stacks creator, definitely reach out to me and we'll get you set up. But appreciate you guys. Have a great week, and let's see Bitcoin at 250K by the end of the year.
All right, folks, back to the beginning. Adam here to wrap things up for this version of the Stacks Builder Bash. Big shout out to all the speakers today. We heard from a large representation of builders from the Stacks ecosystem, including Hermetica, Zest, Bitflow, Xverse, AIBTC, Leather, Ballot, Boom, and Lunar Crush. And if you missed any of these updates, or if you want to view them again, all updates and demos will be featured on the Stacks YouTube page. You can also replay the X event stream to catch this recording. So be sure to do that if you want to get a second glimpse, or if you joined midway through, you can have a chance to catch everything one more time. Aside from learning through the top builders in the Stacks ecosystem, we also learned about the opportunities to help early or new builders grow their projects in the ecosystem. Andrea from the Stacks Endowment provided an overview of the grants program and gave a sneak peek to some of the Q1 grant recipients. You can visit the Stacks Endowment website to learn more about the grants program at stacksendowment.co, and you can catch all updates related to the grants program directly from their X account at Stacks Endowment. Okay, last thing before we go, new announcement alert. This is the benefit of you all watching live and catching things firsthand. Next week, a new program supporting builders will be announced. But since you're here, you get to hear it here first. The Stacks Foundry Validate program will be launching next month in early to mid-May. This is a 5-week program to help early stage builders test, validate, and build their ideas in real market conditions. It's a hybrid program that will be live and async, that will consist of masterclass content, peer learning, and live hot seat sessions to help participants take their projects from 0 to 1. A link to apply for this program will be emailed to you using the address that you RSVP'd for the Builder Bash using, so be sure to check that email. To see the recap, important links will be included there, including a link to apply and learn more of the new Stacks Foundry Validate program. You can contact the Stacks Endowment or myself on X The Stacks Endowment account is at Stacks Endowment. My account is at Adam_Han. Feel free to reach out if you want to learn anything more about today's session or specifically the new Stacks Foundry Validate program. Thank you once again for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned some new things. We will catch you next time. Adam Han signing off.
You